All right, we're live. Now I gotta freaking tweet this. Hello, everybody.
Oh, there we
I
go.
don't think anyone's here.
They will come.
So, you guys saw that Russia was going to get rid of the SWIFT system?
Really?
Yep.
Really? I didn't
Starting
see
in
that.
2019. Yeah. Pomp put it out.
I cannot take this seriously. Yeah, it looks awesome.
I love it.
Oh, looks like we got people are filtering in.
Let's go, people. Filtering.
Oh, dude, there's John Kim and
Johnny.
Sherry Ryder.
How do you...
I'm not going to be able to read questions from my phone here, so.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, this is... So, the stream isn't showing as online for me. Oh, there we go. Never mind. Okay.
Yeah, you see it now?
Yeah. Cool.
Johnny boy.
All right. I'm sorry. I'm just updating my, putting the link in this video I just posted so that. So what's up?
I've got to figure out how to tweet this real quick.
Okay. David, are you going to have that the whole time?
No, I won't do it the whole time.
Oh, man.
How long does a troll last? I don't know how long I should be doing this.
Dude,
Or am I good now?
You last for like however long you want.
Well, my arm's getting tired already.
It's a good workout opportunity.
Coyote Wave. Sherry,
Kyoto?
how's it going?
Kyoto Wave, yeah.
All right, I tweeted. Maybe that'll bring people in.
Okay. Seriously, maybe I should tweet too.
Yeah. How's work?
Tweets ready.
How's work, David?
Yeah, work was fine.
Yeah.
It's not too bad. I have two really good coordinators that work under me now, so it's a lot easier than it used to be.
That's what she said.
Yeah.
There we go.
I saw you tweeted about like selling your house or something, or selling a van.
Yeah, a travel trailer, yeah.
Oh snap!
We got it last summer, and then we used it 5 times. There's nothing wrong with it. The main goal is to try and get a cabin, so you can't have a camper and a cabin. It doesn't make any sense. So.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So sell the camper, get the cabin.
Dude.
Sell the camper, buy more
Litecoin. Well, like I said, I told my wife, I'm like, I could put it up for 2 Bitcoin or something.
Whoa. I love that.
Yeah, that's about it's worth that much. So it's not like high end, but it's a really nice camper. So.
Dude, apparently we're mooning.
Yeah, we broke 168.
What the heck?
John, what's up,
dude? Where you been?
Every time we do a live stream, Litecoin moons.
We got to do this like every day.
Every freaking day.
Hey, do you see my face at all, or am I just a little thing in the corner?
No, I see you.
No, that's too bad. I really wanted to be just a thing in the corner this time, instead of having my face plastered up there.
I think you know what it was last time. I clicked on your screen, and then it just like, I think how it works is it just like stays on you while I click on it.
Yeah.
And so maybe I should do that again. You can be the face of the light school.
I don't think so. Every single one I looked at, I'm like, I'm not the light school. What is going on here? Yeah. Hey, so this is the jacket I'm doing the poll on today, the one that I wrinkled because I don't take it off when I get in the car.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So is it because like you're lazy or because you're forgetful or what?
Well, I'm going to let everybody else tell me that. So
You need help figuring that out, huh?
it was laziness, being efficient, forgetful, or I'm just an idiot. And so right now, I'm just an idiot, or I'm an idiot gained like 4%. So it's up to like 22% voting.
Oh man.
So it's like the forgetfulness one only has like 4%. It's like the Jerry Brown of presidential candidates on the poll or something.
So Sherry posted that she's struggling with Coinbase right now. She transferred Litecoin to USD and it's frozen. That must be so frustrating.
Every time these runs happen, it seems like everybody's exchanges just go stupid. Or at least Coinbase does anyway.
Sherry, can you tell us like why it's frozen? Is it frozen because like the bank won't let you deposit it, or is it frozen because like you can't get onto Coinbase, like the exchange is frozen? Wow, we really are mooning. I love it.
We got 41 people watching.
Sick.
This channel's mooning.
Watching you on your phone. What is it right now?
169, as you asked that question.
On GDEX,
So-
yeah.
All right, E, you need to keep talking so it goes to 170.
Yeah, okay, so let's answer some of those questions.
Say something brilliant.
Those were swell questions.
So say something brilliant.
Yeah.
Man.
Well-
Litecoin is the real Bitcoin.
I saw that comment. It's a
Yeah,
true
I saw that too.
Yoshi's true vision.
Satoshi's true vision.
I heard he was blind.
You heard Satoshi was blind?
Yeah.
From who?
That was a bad. No. It's called a bad
Satoshi's
dad
vision.
joke. I was.
Vision, E.
Oh,
You guys aren't
AI.
dads yet.
It's the AI. Yeah, AI doesn't get humor as
Oh, okay. No, see, bad dad jokes. The essence of bad dad jokes are you take some kind of wordplay and then you just do a bad joke, and then the kids go, "That was really stupid, Dad." You go, "Thank you."
So I'm here to learn. I'm at the Light School right now to learn, and I like some of those questions, E. And by the way, we just broke 170 on GDAX. But
wow.
that first question, what is Litecoin? My question is, what is Litecoin Cash?
Oh, wow.
Litecoin Cash is killing it. I think Litecoin Cash is the true vision of Satoshi.
Is it really doing well?
No, it's
Is it
it's
going
like
up?
it's so down and it's so dead. I just think it's funny. I like
It's flatlined, right? It's
Yeah.
totally flatlined. Yeah.
Mhm. Wow.
Let's ask the Weiss
171.
ratings. Let's ask the Weiss ratings. Maybe they can tell us what Litecoin Cash is.
Well, yeah, that's a good point, and that actually plays perfect into that article I just read on
Yeah.
that. It's hard to. I mean, I like some of these questions are awesome, and I want to ask E some of these questions, but it's like hard to focus right now because we just touched 171.
Focus.
I mean, to be clear, like Litecoin Cash is just some random people, because Litecoin is open source. Like anybody can look at the source code and like fork it, and so that's what these random group of developers did. They looked at Litecoin's code and then they forked it, and then they decided to call it Litecoin Cash, and so that's literally how Litecoin Cash started.
I mean, I wonder how much money they made on it.
I mean, they had a pre-mine.
Yeah,
I think they reserved like 1 million Litecoin Cashes for themselves.
and it went up.
Cashed out immediately, I'm sure.
Okay, so let's see.
How about this question for you guys?
Sure.
So, concept of Litecoin being a possible store of value next to Bitcoin. Will Lightning Network make Litecoin obsolete, where it's just Bitcoin? And
No.
what kind of cooperation do we need from governments to make cryptocurrencies user-friendly? An example he gave is tax rates.
Yeah, when I read that question, I thought immediately of Crypto Tax Girl.
Oh gosh.
Because didn't you do an interview with her? She would. Did you get any insight into tax rates and stuff like that on that interview?
Yeah, I did, and she was super helpful, super knowledgeable. If you guys need help with your taxes with cryptocurrency, you should definitely hit her up.
Yeah.
But basically, yeah, you should definitely keep track of your trades. You should keep track of like when you buy it, and even when you purchase it, you should keep track of like at what price Litecoin is in which you sent your Litecoin to buy. Okay, so let's say you bought Litecoin at like $5, right? And then it goes to like $100, and then you buy like a movie ticket for $10. So you have to say that, oh, I bought Litecoin at $5, and then I sold 1/10 of it to buy a movie ticket at $100, and so you have to keep track of that, and that's a taxable event.
That's incredibly. Have you kept track of those types of things? Because I haven't.
I can neither confirm nor deny. Yeah, I will. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway,
I mean, that's a real problem. I mean, it's going to be annoying because I'm going to be giving all this information to my accountant, and it's going to be very difficult. I mean, I haven't spent it. Like, I don't spend Litecoin all the time, but I need to get all those receipts and everything. So that's going to be kind of annoying.
Is it true that when you transfer it from one wallet to another, you get taxed on that too?
no way.
I keep seeing that, and I'm like, why would that be a taxable event?
Yeah, you're not exchanging Litecoin for a good. You're just transferring it to a different location.
Yeah. So there's people out there spreading that, though.
That's confusing.
Yeah.
But there's like a couple bills that I've heard of in order to alleviate this problem. Like one of the bills is like any purchase under $600 is not a taxable event, no matter what you do, no matter what you buy. I think that's one idea that was kind of proposed.
Yeah, I did see something similar. But was it every purchase under 600 or a total of 600 for the year?
I think
I don't
purchase in general, just so every purchase.
Okay.
Because $600 for the year, that's like a really small amount.
Yeah, it is.
There's only so many things that you can buy. You'd buy 60 t-shirts for $10. That's what that would be.
Is that what you use your money on?
I bought a Litecoin shirt. I bought it off of Amazon though.
A crypto capital venture t-shirt for $10.
Ooh, I should.
I need to send you guys some.
Buy 60 of those so we can do the 3, 2, 1.
I know why. I need to get you guys to do a 3, 2, 1 intro. Man, that's
Dude.
That's why I say it every time we live stream.
Wait, I don't think I'm going to be able to get E to do that intro.
All he has to do is show the shirt. He
Yeah.
just shows the shirt, and then you don't have to see his face.
Or I could just Photoshop the real shirt onto my Snoovatar and then just.
All right. There was more to that question. What was the rest of that question from the person? It was because he had like 4 or 5 in one tweet there. Uh-oh.
But you know,
Hi,
actually,
Sarah.
oh hi,
Oh yeah, she can't hear you guys.
hi Sarah. Dude, you two are like the cutest couple in the world. I'm gonna. Oh no! Don't let me go.
E, don't
Take
make
a
me
snapshot.
blush. Don't make me
What?
blush live. Don't make me blush live stream.
Yo,
They said
You guys
he
are
said we're the
adorable.
cutest couple ever.
Thank you.
She said thank you.
you're welcome.
So how about the store value point? That's a good question too.
Yeah, actually, one more thing about the taxable events. Like, so one thing I think we should try to advocate for, if anybody's in government policies or anything like that. So the concept of Litecoin is that, okay, so foreign currencies actually are exchanged on derivative markets. Okay, so what that means is like a lot of people, you can buy like euros on the derivative market. You can buy yen on the derivative market. And so those are taxable events. Like if you buy it on the derivative market, then those are treated like assets or like stocks. But if I buy, let's say, Canadian dollars, CAD, and then I go to Canada, and then I buy like syrup or something, like that is not a taxable event because I'm exchanging it for goods and service. And so I kind of feel like Litecoin or Bitcoin or any cryptocurrency, like legit cryptocurrency, not like a token, not like an ICO, but cryptocurrency, they should be kind of treated on the same way. Like anytime you trade on an exchange, I believe like that should be a taxable event. But anytime you use your Litecoin to purchase a good or service, then like that shouldn't, because you're using it as a currency. And so rather than restricting it to like a $600 and less, I think it should be more tailored to like what kind of service or what the use of the Litecoin is for.
But you still pay? I mean, you're going to end up paying whatever the sales tax is on it anyway, right? When you make the purchase, because it's, at least in most countries, built into the price.
Yeah, you will.
So then, yeah, why should you get double taxed on that as a gain, and then also getting taxed on it as a purchase?
Exactly. And that way, if this style of law or regulation comes in terms of taxing Litecoin, then you don't have to keep track. You don't have to keep track of like when you bought Litecoin and when you're buying this syrup for, like you don't have to keep track of that. It's just you're buying a goods and service and that's it. Makes it a lot simpler, I think.
I think you should run for office.
I have this meme that somebody made me a while back. I had to share it with you guys. But I want help me find like another question.
Well, there's still more into that one guy's question. There were a couple other facets to it. What was another part of it? So store of value.
Store of value, that was another part of it.
I don't see it as a store of value. I see it as a payments option. So for me, store of value would be Bitcoin. I don't think the Lightning Network is going to affect Litecoin the way I guess people, maybe on the surface, it seems like if Bitcoin has Litecoin network or the Lightning Network, why in the world why would we need Litecoin? But at least for me, and E, you can correct me or Dan, you're gonna need both Litecoin and Bitcoin. Bitcoin's just not going to be able to do all the things it's going to be able to do on its own, which is why it would be more of a store of value or used for larger purchases, and Litecoin would be more for your daily purchases or things that may be a little bit higher but not so high in cost. And when you take all the facets of the Lightning Network and all the other things that they're working on with that, you're going to need both. I think anything that's outside of the Lightning Network is going to suffer. But Litecoin is literally attached to the hip with Bitcoin, and they do work well together, and they will work well together. I know that the Lightning Labs works closely with both currencies, Litecoin and Bitcoin, quite often. And so I don't see how, if Litecoin were to not capitalize on the Lightning Network, why would the Lightning Network or Lightning Labs work so closely with them if it's going to make them obsolete?
Yeah, what do you think, Dan?
I agreed, and I'm kind of already a little bit ahead of you. I was reading through the AMA with Bill Barheit, because I'm trying to find this part where he kind of talked about this a little bit, and I'm trying to find it right now.
Oh yeah.
But so what are we talking about? The store value or Lightning? What were you guys just kind of?
Well, I kind of just went off of both. I don't see it as a store of value, and I do see how Litecoin is going to benefit from the Lightning Network. It's not going to be run out of town by Bitcoin just because Bitcoin has a Lightning Network as well. when you start getting getting into all the different layers that are involved with the high-speed transactions and the amount of high-speed transactions that are going to occur, whether, like you said, Dan, it's business to business, or if it's from me to Cinnabon or whatever else, those are going to be occurring throughout the world simultaneously, and many times from multiple accounts into one. And there's a lot of things that go into that, where, like I said, any currency that's not using the Lightning Network is going to actually be the ones, they're going to be the ones that are suffering in this, not Litecoin. So.
Yeah. Now, I kind of think Litecoin could be a store of value. Why do you think it couldn't?
I just don't think that's the purpose of it. So now, granted, I'm assuming that's not necessarily what the purpose was behind Bitcoin when it was created either. It's a peer-to-peer payment system, so maybe that wasn't the intent at that point. But I just don't. If you have Bitcoin as a store of value, then why would you need two stores of value? You need one that's going to be more of a daily transaction currency.
No, I agree with that too. I think Bitcoin is a better store of value. Just like I would say gold is a better store of value, but silver is also a store of value if you think about it.
True.
And I think, you can really call a lot of different cryptocurrencies a store of value if you want at this point. But Bitcoin, obviously king in that regard. So, but yes, John just said I store physical silver. So there you go. And
Do
John
you really, John?
John also stores Litecoin.
Yeah, I store physical silver too, but I wouldn't use it as a payment option. But silver hasn't been used as a payment option since when, So I don't know if you can directly correlate the two, silver physical and silver Litecoin.
Yeah, it's tough. It definitely is tough. I think one of the biggest things is that transition. We talk about this a lot, is that transition to Litecoin being utilized as a payment, because I feel like a lot of people aren't going to want to do that. They're not going to want to, they're not going to want to let go any of their Litecoin. They're going to want to keep it as a store of value.
Yeah, it'll be interesting how the ecosystem plays out. I think Lightning Network enables the possibility for both if Lightning Network delivers on everything it promises to be in terms of being able to process more transactions than what Visa does right now. And so in that sense, on the Lightning Network, it's very possible that Bitcoin or Litecoin can be both, can be a payment processor on that layer, but on the main chain, on the blockchain where you're sending from address to address, that would most likely be more of a store of value concept, because you wouldn't want to pay high fees just to pay for pizza or something like that. But I think there's some FUD surrounding whether the Lightning Network on Bitcoin will completely overtake and make Litecoin obsolete. But from my perspective, I just don't see that happening, because Litecoin will always be cheaper in terms of its transaction fees. It's designed to be that way. There's 4 times the supply, meaning that if Bitcoin and Litecoin were to share the same market cap, the value of Litecoin would be cheaper. And Litecoin also blocks 4 times faster. And so what that means is that competition in the fee market and the meme pool is 4 times as less than as it is in the Bitcoin. And so that's because transactions get processed 4 times as fast. So there's not as much competition. So chances are the fees aren't going to be as high. And so if that's the case, it would be cheaper to get on the Lightning Network through Litecoin, right? Why would you pay $1 to get onto, or $2 to get onto the Lightning Network with Bitcoin, when you could pay 14 cents to get onto the Lightning Network with Litecoin, right? Especially if you can atomic swap it on the Lightning Network off chain, and then now you have Bitcoin, and then you can use that Bitcoin to make payments. So I just see Litecoin as, it still serves its purpose in being number one, still a secure cryptocurrency, and 2, a cheaper alternative to Bitcoin. And even I did a podcast with Alex Bosworth, He's a Lightning Network dev, and one of the functions that Litecoin could possibly have in the future is like change, right? So you go into a store and you have $100 bill, right? You can't spend $100 bills in a lot of stores. Like like I just went to a coffee shop this morning where it said we'll only take $20 bills, right? And so that's kind of like what Bitcoin is like, and you don't want to pay another $2 to refill your Bitcoin Lightning Network node. So instead, what you do is um, you'll pay with Litecoin as a cheaper alternative, and then they'll fill your Lightning Network with Bitcoin in exchange for that. And so that's another use case that's possible, I feel like, with Litecoin and the Lightning Network combined with atomic swaps.
Yeah.
Can you explain submarine swaps?
Yeah, from what I understand, I'm not 100% sure, but submarine swaps, I believe, is when half of the transaction is on the Lightning Network and half the transaction is on chain. So somebody pays on chain, and then it goes to a Bitcoin Lightning Network node, and then the Bitcoin Lightning Network node routes that payment to either your own node or to a payment that you want. And so rather it being like off-chain to off-chain transaction, I think half of it is on-chain and the other half is off-chain.
What's the purpose of doing it that way? Or is there a benefit to doing that?
Submarine swaps would make it, so you know how I was talking about change, like with Bitcoin and Litecoin? And so that's one functionality, I believe, of like submarine swaps. So I pay $100 in Litecoin to fill my node with $100 of Bitcoin. And so I pay on-chain with Litecoin to somebody for $100 of Bitcoin Lightning Network funding. And so that would be a use case of that.
I got you.
So instead of getting onto the Lightning Network with Litecoin and then swapping it for Bitcoin, I would just pay on-chain once with Litecoin, and then I would be routed the equivalent amount in Bitcoin.
Interesting. So lastly, I just wanted to add, so I found it's kind of for our next question, I highlighted it, but yeah, so I keep thinking about Abra because would they have transitioned to Litecoin? And I think Bill I love listening to him, like your interview with him was awesome, but like, would they have transitioned to Litecoin if they thought that Lightning Network would make it obsolete? I mean, he even said that Lightning support is part of the reason they are using Litecoin as well. So I would like to hear him answer the question too about Litecoin becoming obsolete because of that. I'm curious to see what he would say.
Yeah, Bill's really eloquent.
Yeah.
And he clears things. He explains things in a very easy to understand way. Yeah.
Does.
But for those who are wondering, like, about when Abra is going to add Litecoin support, like, the first thing is to understand that the Abra exchange isn't going to completely transfer into a Litecoin only exchange. So that's not what's happening. Instead, they're going to offer both Bitcoin and Litecoin support. So I think there was a little bit of miscommunication about that. And then Bill in my podcast mentioned that maybe by May, well, I guess it's May now, but he said that Litecoin deposits has opened. So it hasn't yet. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Cool. Maybe by the end of May.
Dude, it's so hard to give a deadline and to meet it, like, in this space, because so many like unknown variables come up, and it's just, yeah, it's hard.
What place do you see Litecoin having in the crypto ecosystem 5 to 10 years out? Not just outlandish price predictions, but actual functionality. That's a good question.
Yeah, what do you think, David?
I think it will be in 5 years. I think it's going to be one of those payment choices it's either going to be further along than Apple Pay is now, or it'll be equivalent to that, where everybody has the choice to do that just like they do anything else. But I think it's going to be more mainstream than people imagine at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. If you have, so who was the first one to do something like that? Was it Apple Pay or Samsung Pay or whoever? But I mean, it took a little while for people to buy into the fact that you could literally do that through Apple Pay to pay for something. You know what I mean? So
Right.
It took them having to get it out there. It took them some time to convince people to do that. And even now, I don't know how many people honestly use something like that. But I think this is a little different with like Litecoin or Bitcoin. We've been slowly permeating that, the payments area already, and I know that it's being utilized. I mean, the funny thing about these currencies are they're currencies. They're not like Apple Pay, because Apple Pay is using a currency to pay for something. We're talking about a currency. So it is different than Apple Pay in that respect, and it can be used globally much quicker than something along the lines of what Apple Pay did. So for me, 5 years is not unrealistic to be sitting there having that option when you go to the grocery store or somewhere else, and just like you see all the little payment options, MasterCard, Visa, Apple Pay, whatever else, you're going to see that Litecoin option sitting right there as well. So for me, that's probably a 5-year out, 10-year out. I have no clue. I mean, honestly, the space moves so fast, and a week feels like 3 months, So to say what's going to be happening in 10 years, I think would be naive on my part. So,
do you think, either one of you guys, do you think that adoption and like being integrated into the payment space, is that going to make Litecoin more stable, less volatile?
Wow, that's a good question.
And do you want it to?
I think stability is good.
Stability is good in 10 years after we move.
Yeah. But even from like a merchant perspective, there's one of the biggest hesitations to accepting Litecoin is just the volatility. Like they don't know if they're actually going to be losing money if they take Litecoin payments, right? And so they would rather hedge everything by converting everything into fiat. So yeah, I would hope that it would, I don't know. I think it might in some aspects increase volatility just because it's being used more frequently, right? And so people have to buy it more in order to use it.
The other question is, say Litecoin gets some type of big partnership, right? Or even something like the Alliant deal gets rolled out and released or whatever. Do you think, like, as people kind of take notice of Litecoin because of that happening, and it's kind of starting to maybe open the door to going mainstream, that a lot of eyes are going to just come onto Litecoin, and do you think that will affect price?
I don't think like people like Litecoin is actually pretty well adopted, like pretty well known in the crypto space, right? There's not a ton of people.
I mean, outside of the crypto space, though.
Right. So here's the thing, like, I think you and I were talking about this, Dan. What's more important? Is it more important for people just to buy and hold Litecoin? Or is it more important for businesses or is it more important for more places to accept Litecoin? To me, that's adoption. Like adoption isn't necessarily people buying Litecoin and just holding it and just not being able to do anything with it, right? But I feel like there's been a lot of complaints or people desiring Litecoin needs better marketing. But my question is like, so we buy a billboard or we do like a Super Bowl Litecoin ad, and then what? Mm-hmm. Right? People might get interested and then they buy Litecoin, But if there's nowhere to spend it at, like, what was the point of that? You know?
Yeah, you're right. You are 100% correct.
Unless the billboard is focused at the merchant and not somebody like me and you. You know what I mean? So if those efforts are, the billboard is focused towards merchants, or the Super Bowl ad is focused toward merchants, that's different.
Yeah,
I do think,
Uh-huh.
I do believe that there's going to be a lot of undercurrent processes that Litecoin would get utilized in that will have nothing to do with merchant adoption. And I think you guys agree with me on that. There's going to be a lot of things that, and Dan, you've even mentioned it, where it's between businesses. It's not necessarily between a consumer and a merchant, right? So, yes, that's one aspect, I believe, of adoption, but I don't believe it's the only one. I think there's going to be multiple areas in which Litecoin and Bitcoin can be used that we don't even potentially see at all. So,
yeah.
And we've got a while to go before we're like 100% ready for people to look at Litecoin and be like, oh my God, like it's so easy to use. And like I have no issues with managing my wallet and like being secure. We still have like a long way to go before we're at that level.
yeah.
So I'm okay with like the gradual adoption that we're doing. I'm okay with like the word of mouth adoption, education, because I think right now it's crucial. It's crucial for people to understand how to keep your seed keys safe. Like when I talk to people about Litecoin, I see it as an opportunity not only to tell them about Litecoin, not only an opportunity to buy Litecoin, but also to kind of share with them the principles behind the blockchain technology, because otherwise, like you miss out. Otherwise, you just get a bunch of people to buy Litecoin and that's it. And then they don't care. They don't care about decentralization. They just care about price and like when it's mooning or whatever.
What's the price at right now?
Oh, it dipped a little bit.
What? Okay.
Yeah, we're tanking. we're tanking. I love it. Go up like 2%. We're mooning.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just have such like a strong interest in just the majority of everybody here, even I would say, like watching this. Well, I mean, everybody wants 1,000+ Litecoin, right? And
Sure,
I guess
why
the
not?
question is, what do people care more about? Like being able to spend it or Litecoin making them rich? I think that's so that shift of most people right now that own Litecoin really just want to make some money. That shift from that to people wanting to just utilize it, spend it, and they want to use it. That's like what I'm most curious about. How long is that shift going to take, you know?
Yeah, and that goes back to the question about stabilizing. Once it stabilizes and it just becomes a currency versus an investment or whatever else, how many people are honestly going to use it then?
Yeah.
You have to really be interested in wanting to use it, or it's going to have to be in applications, like I said, that you don't see anyway, and it's used in that manner. It could be used by governments. It could be used by corporations for other purposes, you know, between paying for tokens or something else. And then, and I can see it tied to being that intermediary between whatever is going back and forth between people. It may not always just be consumer to merchant. So I think you would need to have those aspects grow and be fruitful in order for, because I'm telling you, once it becomes a stabilized currency, and then it's just a currency, and the interest in it, like the interest is in it now, is not going to be there. And like you said, there's who's going to be using it, who's going to be interested in the price of Litecoin at that point.
Well, the other part of the story is it's like right now it's a want. So there's also going to be a shift from want to necessity. I think it's going to make sense. People are going to need it because really, I think you would agree is we're here because we believe there's going to be a shift in the future from fiat to crypto, right? So
yeah,
with that comes a need for it, you know, if that happens.
E?
Yeah,
He's
I
writing,
mean,
he's writing an article.
Oh, you beat me to it, man. I was gonna say,
no, I mean, I agree with you guys. I think like in order to get adoption, we've got to shift people's perspectives. I'm also reading the chat. Like Brian Huggins, what's up, dude? I hope you're still here. Giving you a shout out. Thanks for coming by and showing some love.
yeah.
Yes,
I can't see anybody. I can't see anybody writing. This sucks. I wish I could see that.
You should have it open on your computer.
I'm just using my phone. I'm sitting at work. Remember?
Oh, that's right. Any questions in the chat? Any questions that anybody?
There were a couple other good ones I thought I saw earlier today when I just can't see them in front of me now.
Yeah, one question that people had was concern about the Lightning Network and what kind of cooperation we might need from the government. And I'm not sure if people are aware, but Elizabeth Stark from Lightning Labs, she's an advisor, I believe, at Coin Center. And Coin Center, if you guys don't know, is an organization where they go to Washington, D.C., and all they do is just lobby for blockchain and for Bitcoin and things like that. And one of the things that Elizabeth Stark and Coin Center have been doing is to try to make it so that Lightning Network nodes don't fall under the category of a money transmissions license. Like, so you can run a Lightning Network node and not be worried about having to comply to money transmitter licenses. And so I think that's really important.
Yeah.
Is that that's in debate right now?
Yeah, I think they're advocating, they're educating, and they're trying to let people know. Like, for example, money transmissions licenses, like exchanges, they have to do it, right? And the reason is because they are holding people's money when they buy Bitcoin or Litecoin. So it's not like I own my US dollars when I'm on Coinbase. Coinbase actually holds the money for me, right? But one of the distinguishing factors of the Lightning Network is you do not hold the other person's funds. Like when you route a payment, you're routing your own payment. You're not routing the payment of the person who's sending you money. And so I think that's a huge, an important distinguishing factor when it comes to money transmissions licenses, because I'm not taking money from David Schwartz and handing it over to Dan. Like that's not what I'm doing. What I'm doing is Dan is paying me one Litecoin, and then I am forwarding my own Litecoin to Dan. And in that way, it kind of avoids the whole, I'm transmitting money from David to Dan.
No, the other way around. He's getting me money.
Oh, okay, my bad.
Yeah.
For that trailer, right?
Yeah, that's right. He's buying my trailer.
Yeah.
Go ahead, David.
I was just going to say, I think the other thing would be, I think that's awesome, by the way, because those are the things that help us. Like, you're a big advocate of putting nodes out there for the Lightning Network, and so it would be hard to make that a selling point if a person's going to get charged, like, I'm assuming like an exchange or a Western Union or whoever. But I think one of the other things that's helpful is I know France is looking to drop the percentage that you would pay on taxes on your crypto from 45% to 19%. So that's another way. For me, it would be, me personally, some of the things that I would be looking for from the government would be, how are they going to be taxing me going forward, which we talked about earlier, in what manners and how much. So for France, that's a big win because, I mean, granted, their sales taxes over in Europe are fairly high already. I know Germany's at 19%, and we only pay, like in Wisconsin, we pay 5.5% on sales tax. So
that's a huge drop in percentage. That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, 45 to 19 is what, 26%? That's massive. Yeah. I mean, that's more than what it ends up being at 19%. So those are ways that they can help.
Dude, someone in the chat just said that, Dave, you must be a probation officer.
No. Why? Because of what's behind me? I don't know what's.
I have no idea. It's just
That's
some
what I was
random
trying to
comment.
figure out.
You know what's funny? When I was in the military, people always thought I was like what they call CID, so it's like undercover police. And so I would walk into places and everybody would act completely different than if I wasn't there because they thought I was undercover. It was really weird. I wasn't, but I never told them I wasn't either. So it was kind of like a fun psychological game I play with them. And they'd be like, one guy even came up to me, he's like, "Say, are you CID?" I'm like, "I don't know. Am I?" And so it was just, no, I'm not a parole agent.
I could see you doing that.
Yeah, so go ahead.
I want to know where we got this one dislike from. That's what I want to know right now. If you're out there, show yourself. What don't you like about this live stream? 3 coolest cats in crypto right now. Come on.
Seriously. So Litecoin Bro asked in the chat if we can talk about Litecoin's distribution policy. So if you guys aren't aware, Bitcoin and Litecoin, what they do is, how Litecoin is distributed is that miners, they process a block, and in this block is a bunch of transactions, and with the transactions are fees. So miners get the fees of the block. But on top of that, every time you successfully block, you are rewarded X amount of Litecoin. But after a certain amount of time has passed, the block reward will be cut in half. So right now, I think it's at 25 Litecoin. And I think Nem Blockchain was saying sometime next year, it's going to be cut in half to 12.5. Now, the idea behind, so this is what you would call a deflationary currency. And the idea is when you reduce the supply, the more valuable the asset becomes, right? And eventually with Litecoin, it's going to stop at 84 million coins. Once 84 million coins have been distributed through the Litecoin protocol, no more Litecoins are going to be distributed through the block reward system, and that's it. And from the beginning, that's how Bitcoin and Litecoin was designed. But one of the things that Charlie kind of talked about in a live stream, or that he did with like the 10x person, or paid something like that. He mentioned that he was considering the possibility of offering consistent block rewards and having it not end. So not capping the limit of Litecoin at $84 million. And so I was just kind of curious if you guys might have any thoughts on to the pros and cons of having either a limited supply of Litecoin at 84 million or a continual supply of Litecoin.
David, what do you think? I like having a limited supply.
Yeah, I like it too. And I think you defeat the purpose of where we've gotten to this point if you start adjusting it. That's just, you end up being just like, the Federal Reserve at that point then. Not necessarily maybe for the same reasons would you add, right? But I don't see, I think that defeats the purpose of at least those specific currencies. And I don't think it would be a good thing for the community. I don't know every reason as to why somebody would suggest it. And so I don't know. I'm not in that far into it or anything. Maybe there are some valid points to it, but I mean, at least for me personally, at this point, I don't see why it would be a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that perspective, and absolutely it helps with like the price of Litecoin increasing. Like Nem Blockchain was saying, typically before a block reward reduces, price tends to increase significantly. And so here's my concern. Right now, Litecoin miners are only remaining profitable through block rewards. They're not they're not profitable through fees, and it's because the fees are so low. And so let's say sometime in the future, the fee market kind of stays the same in the sense that it's only like 14 cents per transaction. What incentive do miners have then in order to secure the blockchain, right? Because they don't have any block rewards to pay for the new miners or to pay for profitability. And if that happens, then the type of computers used to mine the network will be a lot less specialized. It'll be a lot less powerful. And the lower the difficulty, the easier it is to manipulate, to change the transactional history of the blockchain.
Are there
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, are there any technological type of solutions that might be in the works to fix this issue?
Yeah, so one of the reasons why people might want to keep Litecoin at 1 megabyte blocks is to increase the fee market. And so that means people are going to pay higher fees to make a transaction. And then the Lightning Network actually is a way to mitigate those fees. So let's say I paid $2 to get onto the Lightning Network to make a payment, but every time I make a payment, the $2 get cuts in half. So for 2 payments, it's $1. For 3 payments, it's like 0.66 or whatever, right? And so every time I make a payment, it gets cut in half. So that's what, and then, yeah. And so the idea is the fee market will be so high, like you're going to pay, I don't know, $100 to get onto the Lightning Network. But that's okay because the more payments you make on the Lightning Networks, the less fee you're technically going to pay per transaction. From my perspective, I think at least that's how I'm seeing this develop in regards to, in one way to kind of mitigate the lack of block rewards.
When is the last Litecoin supposed to be mined? Is it like 2050 or something?
Oh, it's going to be after we die.
So it's like literally, it's that far off.
Yeah, like 100 years, maybe.
Wow, I thought it was like 2050 or something.
So what are we worried about?
Yeah, then? So what are we even talking about this for?
It's like the environment. Screw it. I'll be dead before you.
Yeah. I guess for me, the only reason why I kind of see Charlie's point. If we offer consistent block rewards that are unending, that don't end, it's kind of like a guarantee almost that miners will continually protect the blockchain.
So
otherwise,
what would be? Sorry, go ahead.
No, you can go.
I was going to say, what would be if you were to go down a road like that? What would be an acceptable amount to not just throw everything into like a mini chaos? If you were to now say we're adding 1 million over the next 4 years, I mean, what would be an acceptable amount that it doesn't throw everything off?
Yeah, I mean that's
a tough question for you, but I'm just saying. I mean, those are the things you'd have to think about then at that point, because if you say, all right, fine, it's 84 million, but because we want to keep rewarding miners to the point where they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, over the next 10 years, we're going to add another 2 or 3 million Litecoin. Is that going to be acceptable? Does that throw the balance off of everything? Or, I mean, that would be a difficult decision to make.
Yeah, it kind of depends on how the economy behind Litecoin works. That's why we need not just developers, but we need economists, we need philosophers, we need like people from different technical backgrounds to be participating in cryptocurrency and Litecoin. But let's say, for example, one Litecoin ends up being $1 million. So if that's the case, one block reward would be sufficient for anybody, right?
$1 million.
There's the happy face.
There's a happy
but
face.
I also think that in terms of how mining works, it's going to naturally, people are going to dump, if Litecoin is $1 million, people are going to for sure dump money into specializing their computers and doing the research in order to get like the best miners possible, because they want that 1 million block reward, right? But that would take millions of dollars of research to do. And so my hunch is that there's like whatever price the Litecoin is, whatever price the block reward is, there's got to be like a small window of profitability that is like maintained. And I don't imagine it ever being like crazy, like super crazy, because you have to make up for it in electricity fees, you have to make up for it in paying for mining equipment and research and developing and producing the miners for all of it. So yeah, I mean, I don't know what the appropriate amount of Litecoin to be distributed would be or should be, but it's just an interesting like thought experiment, I feel like, because speaking to your point, Dave, of saying like, oh, well, then it's just the Federal Reserve. I would say it's not exactly like that. I think people assume like, oh, well, if we don't end block rewards, if we have just a capped limited supply, then it's immediately we're going into hyperinflation, and that's what we're trying to combat. But that's not the case. Like, what if we just limit block rewards to one Litecoin till the end of time? You know, that's not hyperinflation. It's just a consistent supply of like one Litecoin throughout the rest of history. You know, and that's something that we all agree upon. And you know, the Federal Reserve, what it does is it creates a budget. Like the president creates a budget and they submit it to the Federal Reserve, and then the Treasury, they print all that money for the Federal Reserve.
Yeah.
Right. And so the president is the one who like makes all the decisions. And so like the amount that is being produced per year is dependent on the president, it's dependent on the Federal Reserve. But with Litecoin, it's built into the consensus mechanism and into the protocol. So it's not like somebody can go in there and randomly change it to like 1 million Litecoins per block reward. That would be hyperinflation, absolutely. But if we all agree to keep it at 1 Litecoin per block reward, then I don't see how it can lead to something like the Federal Reserve or just hyperinflation like people are worried about.
So does the price of a coin affect, maybe this is me just not understanding enough of it, but the price, so when you does the price of the coin affect what the miner is getting at that moment when they get the reward? Because I don't know how many people are familiar with them, but if you talk about companies like MGTI where they mine Bitcoin, so if the price of the coin is worth a lot more, and perhaps it costs them $4,000 to mine to get a reward, but the reward is a Bitcoin that's $9,000. If say tomorrow Bitcoin is worth 11,000, yet it's still only costing them 4,000 to mine it. So wouldn't the value of the coin offset what you're talking about as far as the miner rewards, or am I misunderstanding it?
I mean, we don't determine. There's no way to predict like what the price of Litecoin will be. It's what the market will dictate at that time.
Yeah.
And then, so like the miners, when they get the 1 Litecoin reward, it only realizes into a profit when they sell it. So they could choose to just bite the bullet and not sell it, right? And then maybe in a year time, that 1 Litecoin grows to $2 million instead of $1 million.
But a company
right?
like MGTI, I believe they have to turn around and sell it immediately after they've mined it.
Yeah. So I mean, that would be their choice to do. Sell it at market price as soon as they receive the block reward.
Okay.
Someone said electricity fees will go down in the future as technology innovates. I thought that was a pretty good point, because I mean, is part of it's a topic of conversation here.
Yeah, and a lot of them are using hydro and solar, and I mean, I know I understand. You read about how people talk about how much consumption or energy consumption is used by miners, but I mean, in reality, a lot of them are trying to use hydro and solar and other forms of getting electricity other than just using the grid. So that should help with cost too.
Yeah, I know that there are specific mining companies that they looked for energy efficient or renewable sources. So like you said, hydro plants and things like that, for them to set up their mining operations, often in like colder places, so they don't have to spend electricity on air conditioning to keep the machines cooler. Litecoin Bro also asked, is there a way for people to vote on protocol mechanisms outside of miners? And so what Litecoin Bro is saying is, in a block, when miners submit a block, there's also a little section where they can signal or leave a little identification number in terms of like whether they support a protocol or not support a protocol. And the idea used to be back in the day that once enough miners signaled for support of a certain protocol, then it would go into effect, because that would demonstrate that a majority of the network was in favor of this protocol. Now, things kind of changed in like 2017 a little bit when with the Bitcoin Cash hard fork, because all the miners were signaling for the Bitcoin to increase the block size to 2 megabytes or 8 megabytes, or I don't know, I'm sorry, I think it was like 32 megabytes for Bitcoin Cash. Yeah. Anyways, and so what I think the Bitcoin Core developers did is they implemented something called node signaling. And so as long as you had a node, you could signal whether or not you supported a protocol or not. And so that's an option, I guess, for people to make their voices heard. But if you want to kind of be involved in whether or not protocol changes get implemented, you should probably be active in GitHub and look at Bitcoin protocols and offer your opinions, because that's typically where a lot of the consensus is formed in regards to whether something should be implemented or not. Litecoin doesn't necessarily, we don't really have a GitHub right now, although Charlie just created the Litecoin improvement protocol. Litecoin improvement protocol GitHub repo. So, but nothing's there right now. So yeah, I guess that kind of, hopefully that answers your question, Litecoin Bro. And like the way I kind of advocate is just by telling people and talking to people about stuff. And it's weird. Like in 2017, it seemed like consensus was trying to be formed through Twitter. So that was just kind of a weird concept. And sorry, one last thing, in terms of like node signaling, that's also not like a 100% definitive way to know whether all the people in the network actually support a protocol or not. And the reason is because people can spoof their nodes. People can buy like 1,000 nodes and then spin them up and then signal for one protocol. And so one person could be behind that. So the idea behind one person, one node isn't necessarily true. And then there's also the aspect where you can go on Amazon Cloud and buy certain IPs, and you can have them signal certain nodes in certain ways. Like there's also spoofing in that aspect as well. So consensus is a difficult topic. It's really hard to really determine whether or not people have consensus. That's one of the biggest things that I'm concerned about with Bitcoin and Litecoin.
But just say, you know, if there were going to be an increase in supply or something, the same process would go for both Bitcoin and Litecoin, correct?
Yes.
So, because I mean, I could be wrong, but my sense was when Charlie proposed that, like, I think people take it a little bit like he's the one that's going to do it. And if there was any type of anger about that in the comments that I saw, it was kind of like, Charlie's going to do this.
Yeah. So Litecoin is kind of centralized in the sense that Charlie is the creator. But even within the Litecoin Foundation, Charlie is held accountable. He's not a dictator. So I think there was one conversation I had with Losh, and he said that Charlie was considering increasing Litecoin's block size to 2 megabytes, but all the devs said no, like they don't want to, and so he had to give it up because he didn't have consensus.
Exactly. Which I think is something that needs to be proven true is in the sense of Litecoin being decentralized and centralized. I think people want to grasp that. They want to understand how decentralized it is and how centralized it is.
Yeah.
Someone's calling Charlie a troll in the chat.
What?
Yep.
Nem blockchain.
170 on GDAX. We're mooning.
We're mooning again.
Took a breather just so we could talk and you could school us. Yeah, someone said, I think it was Sherry, a lot to be learned. And I mean, I agree. That's why I like the Light School, because I need to learn. There's a ton I don't understand. So I'm like still trying to, I'm not like a school person. I got my associate's degree and I was like, I'm out. It's time to start a business. So I don't it takes me a little bit of time to learn the ins and outs of everything. So that's one reason I appreciate what you're doing, E, because especially in context to Litecoin, we need to learn,
I think like schooling is overrated. I mean, you don't really need education to be wealthy or to succeed in life. But I think education definitely is important. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
100%. But that should be the last time you call school overrated, being the Light School is your brand.
Basically unfollow me, guys. Don't listen to anything I say.
Oh man.
But here's the thing. I need to head out. So one of the topics that a lot of people wanted to know is about smart contracts. Maybe we can talk about this or cover this in another live stream. But just as kind of like maybe a primer or whatever, or like a sneak preview, Litecoin does have smart contracts, and they're called multi-sigs. It's just that Litecoin uses a script language, and Ethereum uses a different language entirely. And so because they use different languages, they are capable of different things. Litecoin and Bitcoin are limited. It's a little bit more linear. Ethereum is more powerful, but that's not always a good thing because it leads to contracts being insecure. It leads to user funds being completely compromised in a multi-sig wallet because the library gets destroyed. So we can, I'm not an expert on smart contracts, but I can speak to it a little bit, maybe in our next live stream.
Cool, that's a good idea. And maybe we could even put it on Twitter a little earlier and get some more questions too, prepped up.
Yeah, I liked how people submitted questions and we kind of went through it a little bit. That was cool.
Me too, man. I appreciate you having me on your channel.
No problem, dude.
And
all right, guys.
And Dave, I appreciate your drawings. All right, fellas. You have a good Friday night, and I'll see you up at $200 tonight.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
Thanks for everybody for showing up too.
Bye.
Bye.